Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to auscastnetwork.com for details.
In a world where everyone says hello,
they dare to say, yeah,
g'day.
Yeah, g'day.
Yeah, g'day!
Yeah, g'day. Yes, good day. Yeah,
G'day.
G'day. Yeah, g'day. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, good day.
Wow, wow!
Yeah,
good day.
G'day. Hey, yeah, g'day. Yeah, g'day, Tim.
Yeah, g'day, Leon.
Yeah, g'day, everyone.
Yeah, g'day, everyone.
Welcome to Yeah G'day, the complete guide to Australia. Now complete with ambient dog sounds. Not our dogs, but we have their sound.
It's like you're here in Australia with us, with these dogs barking non-stop.
It's like you're sitting in the house at God knows what hour whilst dogs yell at you until their owner comes home and treats them nicely. No, I shouldn't imply not being treated.
No. I'm
But
sure
they are barking.
I'm sure they're lovely people who are definitely not home with their dog right now.
No, dogs do bark. Yeah, they do. I am aware of this. Tim, this is our second episode of the day, as we've talked about, because at this current point in time, you're probably still on the... No, you're probably in...
I will be... I know right now, in this moment, that is not the future.
Correct.
Is it in the future,
But
but is now.
Yes.
I'm in Tokyo, I believe.
Yes. So you've only been there for a little bit. How long's the flight to Japan?
From Melbourne all up, it's about 11 hours worth of flying.
Yeah, because you're going via
10
cars.
to 11, depending, yeah.
Actually, side note before we'll talk about your Japan more, Elise and I were looking at flights to Sydney for the long weekend,
Right.
which are pricey-ish. There's a flight we could get home on the Monday night, I think it was, left at 8:30 p.m. from Sydney and got you back to Melbourne at 6:30 a.m. the next day, because it was a 10-hour trip where you fly via Darwin, wait in Darwin for an hour and 45 minutes, and then fly back to Melbourne. Why was that even an option?
Why did it give you that?
It was like double the cost of all the other flights because you're going on 2 planes.
Why on earth would anyone ever take that flight?
Whose time is that helping? Like, who looks at their schedule and goes, well, I don't want to be in Sydney past 8:30 on Sunday night, and I need to be home at 6:30 a.m., but I don't want to get home any earlier than that.
I'm also looking to pay double what I would want.
It was like $430 or something, and I was like, $430 to be more inconvenienced? What's wrong with you?
Yeah, that's a ridiculous.
You may as well take a boat. Anyway, sorry. So, yes, you're going via Cairns, so it's 14 hours or whatever. So you're leaving early on Saturday, so you'll get there late on Saturday night. Because aren't they only 3 hours ahead of us or something?
No, they're an hour behind us. So
are they?
I will get there at about... I think we arrive in Tokyo about 6 p.m. their time, which is 7 p.m. Australia time.
Right. That's not too bad.
So by the time I get into Tokyo, though, through customs, and then there's the train from Narita Airport to Shinjuku is about an hour and a half. So it probably won't be like 8 to 8:30-ish.
If anyone's thinking of taking
maybe 9.
Tim out, that's where he's going to be.
Yeah. This is exactly where I will be at
Here
this
are my
time.
locations. You're like the limo driver in Wayne's World where they're like, that's very specific information you've given us. So, yes, Tim is overseas. We're doing this remotely, as we said, definitely live.
Right now, not in the future.
Tim's in the plane recording
Not
this.
in the past. We are...
Excuse me, can I please get a Coke? And
Everyone needs to shut up. Can you turn those plane engines off, please?
Yeah. Hey, guys, can we put the plane into silent mode, please?
Yeah.
I'm kind of recording a podcast. We're free-falling as we speak.
Yeah.
Tim.
Yes.
This week, little different. Little sidestep, little zag when they thought we were going to zig.
It is Australia.
It is
but
still
it's also not.
Yeah. We're going to talk about the Simpsons in the episode where they go to Australia.
Correct.
So we're going to talk about that, even though it's not Australian made, but does focus on Australia. And Tim and I just watched it then over my breakfast. Tim did not eat.
I did not.
I had Wheat Bix with maple syrup, some rice bubbles, the Aldi brand ones, I think, with Bugs Bunny on the box, and some almond milk.
And I had nothing.
Tim sat there and looked at me longingly.
Yeah.
But no, so we watched the episode just then. So we thought that'd be fun to talk about, and we're going to talk about the inconsistencies that are definitely in it.
Yes. But the cold hard facts of it all first.
Please.
For those who don't remember, perhaps. So it's called Bart versus Australia.
Yes.
That's the name of the episode. It is the episode... the 16th episode of the 6th season, 119th episode of Simpsons ever made.
Yeah.
Aired in February 1995.
And it
it's
looks
actually
like it too.
Quite old. So the basic plot line is Bart and Lisa are having a competition, and then they end up having this argument about the way that water spins.
Yeah, they're racing toothpaste and shampoo down a drain.
The way that water spins when it goes down a drain, and
Yeah.
Lisa says that due to the Coriolanus effect, it always goes counterclockwise in the northern hemisphere, but in the southern hemisphere, it goes the opposite direction. Bart
Which,
doesn't.
If you could just explain that to us.
That would be
Tim.
clockwise.
If you could just explain that entire why that happens.
Why?
That effect. Why is that?
Well,
If
actually,
you could-
technically speaking, it wouldn't affect the amount of water that you would have in your sink. It only affects weather patterns. I don't exactly know why it does that, though.
why do you even know that? Anyway. So, yes, they argue that.
So that's one inconsistency we've
Yes.
already come across. But it's not an Australian inconsistency, it's a scientific
No.
inconsistency. Anyway, so they have that argument. Bart decides then that he's going to call different countries in the southern hemisphere to see if he can prove this. So he calls like Antarctica, he calls Argentina. There's a great little bit where he calls Hitler, who is in Argentina.
Yes.
It's quite a funny little bit. Then he ends up calling... Oh, Lisa says to him, you know these calls are going to cost a fortune. So he decides to collect call Australia.
Yeah.
So he does a collect call to this kid named Tobias, talks to him, tells him he works for the Drainage Commission
It's
or
like the
something.
Springfield Drainage Commission or
International
something.
Drainage Commission, and he needs to know immediately which way their toilets spin. Tobias tells him what Lisa
Clockwise.
says. He confirms. Then Bart says, "No, you've got to go check your neighbors as well." Then, funny. This kid lives like fucking super far away from his neighbors because he lives out on a farm in the suburbs somewhere. And so he jumps on his bike and disappears. Bart goes away. Then later that night realizes that the phone has been on this entire time. Then that kid, Tobias, gets a big collect call bill, which his dad exclaims, $900 dues.
$900.
And from there, they try to collect the money, eventually get Bart gets indicted for fraud, and they send him to Australia to apologise. And then they kind of like just do a bunch of shit where they're in Australia being silly.
Getting booted in the bum.
Yes, that's his punishment, is he's supposed to get booted in the ass. But he refuses to take the punishment. Eventually, they like end up escaping in a helicopter because Australians get really aggressive. And that's like a very brief overview. There's a lot of funny little gags and stuff that they throw in as well about Australia.
I remember it being funnier.
Yeah.
I feel like I've hit my parents' age now where I was sitting there watching it being like, well, none of this is true. That doesn't happen. It's just silly.
Well, the guys who wrote it, who are Bill Oakley and Josh Weinstein, it was directed by Wes Archer, said that they purposely did things like ridiculous and made up a lot of stuff just for the sake of it.
Yeah. Their accents are just Cockney British, where they sometimes strain the word a little bit harder.
Yeah.
But there is not one person in that episode that has an Australian accent.
Yeah. So my understanding is that at the time it came out, a lot of people in Australia were very offended. Because I also
No
think
shit.
that this was the first time The Simpsons ever went to another country as well,
Right.
potentially. And the guys who wrote it said it's actually supposed to be a little... Like, it's making fun of Australia, obviously, in some ways, but it's also meant to be a little bit of an indictment of, like, the US in some ways.
It's definitely
as well.
making fun of the Americans and their knowledge of Australians.
Yeah. But anyway...
Bart doesn't even know there's a Southern Hemisphere at the beginning.
Yeah. And the whole, like, they sent him on purpose to get in trouble and all this stuff. I think it's a bit of a comment on the US political system at the time. What were we talking about?
I don't know.
The Simpsons episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, I heard that people in Australia weren't very happy. They talked about it in Parliament. They said, like, a lot of people were very offended by
God.
it. But the thing is that our generation...
Wait,
Here
what?
in Australia, it's actually kind of considered with quite a bit of reverence.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there are entire Simpsons memes groups in Australia where there's this ongoing joke where they use Tobias and his father
Tobias!
in various different situations, and it's actually quite funny. It's become like a bit of a thing here.
We even had a petition to change our currency to dollary dues.
We did, yeah.
Which I'm still all for.
$900 dues.
Tobias, did you make a call to America?
Yeah. It's gained legendary status here.
Yes. Now, do you have any other facts, or are we just... Is there any facts
I mean,
to
I
really go
could
with
just
it?
talk to you about like production and stuff, but
No,
not
that's
really.
fine.
There's a lot of references that it makes, though.
Yeah, you
like
got Crocodile Dundee.
Crocodile Dundee.
He's referenced multiple times.
Yeah.
One
with that
explicitly,
knifey spoony, yeah.
and then Knifey Spoony. Knifey Spoony is a classic line.
yeah.
It's when the guy comes in, he's wearing the Dundee hat, and Bart's got his little pocket knife, and he goes, "That's not a knife. This is a knife. That's not a knife. That's a spoon." Ah, well, so you've played Knifey Spoony before.
Beautiful.
My reenactment.
Yeah.
The bar scene has a lot in it. Because it's
The
also
bar
got
scene,
I'll just get a coffee, and he's like, beer it is.
Yeah, talks about Australians drinking. Talks about how everyone's kind of convicts, how we came from convicts.
Yeah, there's a convict moment when they're in a museum, and it's
Yeah.
like Australia's first prime minister, and it's Snake as a convict.
Yeah.
And then Marge is like, "Oh, what's your camera, Lisa?" And there's like 3 or 4 people that are like, and like they all come to steal her shit.
Yeah. The member of parliament, when you first see him, that they report what happened to is feeding pigs.
Gus.
And then he goes down to find the prime minister, who's like in a lake naked on his little thing. So there's a lot
like
of
that
fun little
scene.
things like that.
Where he's like, "I'm going to report you to my local member of parliament." "Hey, Gus, I've got something to report to you."
It talks about cane toads, not like specifically, but it makes allusion to cane toads.
The cane toad situation's interesting. Side note, though, don't we have bullfrogs here?
I think so, yeah.
So that because so when Bart comes in, there's a whole scene with like you can't bring in flora and fauna. And
Our protection, yeah. I don't know, we've never really talked about that, but the protection in Australia in terms of like bringing in living species or even like things that are made of wood and stuff is like really hectic. Like
it's pretty
really,
hectic in most
really
places
hectic.
now, though, isn't it?
I think so, yeah.
But and like even like if your shoes have dirt on them,
Yeah.
But so yes, Bart brings in he's standing in the line. He's like, "Oh," and he like pulls out like a bullfrog and puts it into a fountain that immediately jumps out of the fountain and goes and gets in the pouch of a kangaroo.
Yeah.
But yes, as the episode goes on, more bullfrogs appear, and at the end when they're flying around their helicopter, the bullfrogs are destroying the crops, and it's just an absolute metaphor.
Which is an allusion, if you will, a metaphorical allusion to the cane toad situation, which were introduced in Australia to get rid of this particular
Cane
type
beetles?
of beetle, which was eating all of the sugar cane.
Yeah.
But now the frogs have become an issue because there's millions.
So
of
people
them.
think we should introduce the snakes, but then how do we get rid of the snakes? We get mongoose.
Gorillas.
How do we get rid of the mongoose.
Yeah. So
Isn't
that's
that a Simpsons reference?
I think it is.
But yeah, so there's the cane toad thing, which I think is quite interesting. There's 2 moments of potential racism. One is that when the mob is running after them, everyone's in like suits because it's from Parliament. One person is dressed as a Mad Max character.
Yes.
Another person is an Indigenous Australian man, but in traditional attire. So like the loinclothy kind of thing, the body paint and that. It's not necessarily racist, but it definitely didn't feel well-intentioned.
It's a little on the nose.
And then
Lisa
the big
makes-
one,
that
Lisa
what
plays
you
a didgeridoo.
Well, yeah, and then she also makes a reference to the Wallumboo Dirt Monument, which I thought was a bit like, oh, I don't know what's going on there.
Is that an actual thing?
I don't know.
Yeah. But
yeah, Lisa plays the didgeridoo,
which is a no-no.
Absolute no-no. Only men can play the didgeridoo in Indigenous culture.
Yes, wasn't it Nicole Kidman who played the didgeridoo on TV and got smashed for it?
Perhaps, yeah.
I think
it's a big, well-known thing that women aren't meant to play a didgeridoo.
Yeah. So there was that kind of stuff as well. But yes, the punishment for Bart is the boot up the bum, and we get a flag that's better than our actual flag, which is the Union Jack, stars around a bum and a boot going to kick it. But the boot up the bum stuff's fun. But yes, they basically play us off to be very, very, very far back in time.
Yeah.
And like we don't understand anything.
It's funny. I think it's quite funny.
It is good. It didn't have as many, like I thought it was going to have more hearty, chortle moments. I feel like I was laughing more at the stuff that was happening in America with Bart being an idiot than I was anywhere else. I'm trying to think if there's any other elements from that episode that are real standouts. The koala at the end is attached to the helicopter because that introduced species is going to destroy their land.
Yeah.
Bart pulls down his pants that says, "Don't tread on me."
That petition we talked about changing to the dollary-doos as of October 2015, so extremely recent data we've got here at our fingertips. 7,000 signatures, which doesn't seem like that many. I feel like it'd be more than that by now.
I need more. But you've also got... There was something I was thinking of. Oh, they do So two things. One is that they regularly play Waltzing Matilda, but they play it in like a... what's that music called that is played in America? The da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Isn't it called like the President's Address or something?
Like a Stars and Stripes, like a... Yeah, I get what you mean, but...
Yeah, but it's that music, but it's like all the part, because in Assassins, that's why I can think of it. But they play Waltzing Matilda as basically throughout, which is kind of fun. But then they've got the... which we were talking about, I don't know why they do it, but I think they're trying to make a joke about Austria the whole time. The Parliament's, like, name is written in, like, weird... Latin-ish Austrian style, and like at one point it says like flore and faune. Like it has all these weird uses of language on the signs and that. Yeah, but I did notice it on the embassy, I think it was, or the Parliament House. It said Austria. Yeah, so they're obviously trying to make the joke there as well.
Lol.
Yeah, that's pretty much that, isn't it?
That's that.
So it's not accurate.
It's not accurate.
But that might have been their plan all along.
It was, I believe, yes, and it is quite funny.
The accents are the hardest part.
Indeed.
Tobias! Right. Anything else for that?
No, I think that's it. Yeah.
What's that sound?
I don't know. What is it?
It's the Harold Holt Watch. I'm surprised Harold didn't make an appearance in the Simpsons episode as well.
Yeah, no, that one definitely would have been a bit on the nose. But then again, so is this segment we've been doing the entire time.
I had a memory that when he talked to the Prime Minister that he was like just standing in that body of water, which I thought would have been a good Harold reference, but he's floating in it. Tim, what do you got?
I have a Harold Holt watch.
That's
and
convenient.
Is it a special one? Let me read you.
Please.
Hello, Tim and Leon. This is Tim in the future that is now writing to you from the future that is actually now. I've literally just landed in Japan, collected my luggage, come through customs, and was walking into the main arrivals hall at Narita Airport when I saw Harold Holt. He was inside the Family Mart convenience store there, buying some delicious Japanese treats and speaking, believe it or not, fluent Japanese.
He would.
I tried to get a picture of him from my phone, but my phone weirdly shut down. He looked around and said, "Shashin o tote wa ikemasen," which we all know what that means, of course.
Obviously.
I said, "But Harold, the world needs you." ScoMo got back in, and everyone knows that he shat his pants in a McDonald's, seemingly on purpose. We need a real leader. And then he disappeared, dropping his convenience store fried chicken to the ground. Ta-da. I am buzzing but freaked out, and I am sending this to the past, which is actually now. Love the show. Thanks for the laughs. Your friend, Tim. So thanks for that one, me in the future that is now in Japan, that is now here while we're recording.
Tim, I don't know what fucking show you think this is, but how dare you taint our Harold Holt Watch by you writing into us? Oh. That's never happened. We always have guests write in. Neither one of us has ever written into this show before, and I don't appreciate you taking that on.
I don't understand how time travel works, but I'm assuming this is how it works.
I do understand how wankers work, and that's like putting Japanese in a fucking letter you write so that you can read it out. What'd you say? Do you even know what you said?
I said you can't take photos.
All right. That seemed long to say that.
Okay.
It's a different language.
I'm sorry that you hate their language.
I don't. It's just tricky for me to get a hang of. Do you say that often in Japan?
You can't take pictures?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess you could.
Ma'am, please, you can't take pictures. I wasn't going to.
Excuse me, ma'am. You can't take photos.
Ma'am, please pull your phone out and point it directly at me with the camera. Ma'am, you can't take pictures. What the fuck's going on? Yeah, right. I'm glad that you remember that Harold was overseas.
Yes.
Because you saw him overseas.
I saw him overseas.
Which ties into the last time when he left.
Which is not now. It's in the future that is now.
Because the boat would take some time.
Now. Yeah.
It would take about the 2 weeks that it's been since that episode. Because
yes.
we're in the future now.
Correct.
And you're in the double future.
Yeah.
Or in the past.
But I'm also here now.
Wait.
ScoMo shat his pants. That's all I know.
Why is it Back to the Future if they only go there once?
Isn't it the present?
Wait. Is it?
How can you go back to... I don't know.
There's a double negative.
Let's move on. Let's move on. My brain's about to explode.
Oh, mine's already exploded. Tim.
Like ScoMo in his pants.
Oh, man, I'm going to explode like that guy shit himself. Tim, I would like to thank, personally, Teylor Smirl for our wonderful cover art.
Yeah, I'd like to thank Curtis Fernance for intro music for the introduction, outroduction, and Harold Holt music on this episode.
Jeez, Curtis. A bit on the nose, though, isn't it, making Harold Holt music, Curtis? Yeah. I don't know about that, mate. Come on.
Come on, mate.
Have some tact.
You're better than that.
Please follow us on social media. Thanks to the Auscast Network for having us on.
Yeah, cheers, guys.
Remember to stay true to yourself.
Remain who you are. Unless you can be someone else, then you can do whatever you want.
And remember, that's not a knife. This
is
a knife.
Yep.
As always, yeah, g'day, Tim.
Yeah, g'day, Leon.
Yeah, g'day, everyone.
Yeah, g'day, everyone. Catch us on the flippity flop.
Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to auscastnetwork.com for details.